So I first remember meeting you waiting for the limo after Gilbert Grape
Wow.
when you had been nominated for the first time and you were standing by yourself waiting for your car. And it's been a long time.
Yeah, that was 21 years ago.
And I saw you in Cannes one time, and I think you introduced me to your grandmother.
Yeah,
And that was cool.
the
But
great Helena Indenbirken, who was sorely missed.
I'm sorry. I know you loved her very much.
I did very much.
So now I've been thinking about this. You after Titanic, you seemed to make a decision at some point that you were going to take certain kinds of roles and not the ones that were being handed to you. And I was just looking at your entire filmography. So many of your films are actually, maybe they got funded by studios in the end, but they're very often independent films. If you technically do, what was that decision that you made?
Well, I really formed my production company for selfish reasons, and that was to find material that I wasn't getting. And it isn't necessarily the subject matter that I think studios are afraid to take on, but it's the way that they're developed, the elements that go into it. I think that oftentimes I've seen great concepts from the onset become sort of homogenized versions of what they should be, and it's really about getting the right writers involved, getting a director's vision from the onset, and creating a story that hopefully takes some chances, that doesn't need to hit the necessary beats that studio feel deem worthy for financing films. And with Wolf of Wall Street and Aviator, which were the two films really that I starred in that were long development processes. I mean, Aviator was over 10 years, and this was a 7-year process. And in particular with this one, we were set to make it, not at the right budget, because I think the studio at the time kind of felt that there's a lot of disgusting behavior in this movie, and wondered whether audiences would cling to it. But I wanted to get Marty involved and have him be the only director to do this, because I knew that through his characterization, or the freedom of allowing us as actors to create these characters, he was going to create a narrative. That's what he does best. Plot, as he said many times, is kind of irrelevant to him. You look at Joe Pesci in Goodfellas when he does "What am I, a clown? What am I here to amuse you?" That's the plot of Goodfellas right there, and it's the interaction between these people. And I wanted him to do it specifically because I wanted it to be that type of atmosphere on set. And so.
But you've also been attracted to characters that aren't necessarily, after Titanic, you were the romantic leading man. My daughter was acting out Jack and Rose in the swimming pool with her best friend. You were adored. And you walked away from that.
Well, I think that, from my experience very early on, I knew that if you keep repeating yourself, audiences and the next generation of whoever is going to be completely bored with you as an artist. And the only way to create longevity is to try to take some risks and take chances. But I inherently knew the actor that I wanted to be at 15. It's really weird. I knew the type of movies that I want to do, and that's the one thing that really hasn't changed about me at all.
From the time you worked with De Niro to...
From the time I first gave myself an education on cinema's history, I said, those are the type of movies that I want to do, and I'm going to do whatever I can to do them. And in a lot of ways, Titanic was something that I had to think about for a long time, because I'd done independent movies before that, and that was sort of a divergence from the type of movies that I'd done. And then I suppose after Titanic came out and it was this sort of worldwide phenomenon, I said, fantastic, let's create something out of this. And I've been able to finance my own movies. So
it helped. Great. It helped, obviously. But how did you and Jonah come up with that shtick from Saturday Night Live?
That kind of happened on the spot. Somebody suggested the Jack, I'm flying thing, and I had a slight pause, and I was like, you know what, that is actually kind of funny. The fact that I would calm him down by doing that
perfect.
on set. But he was great. I saw that. That process of what they have to do there, I can't believe what they're able to accomplish in a week. It's insane.
You've never hosted?
No, I've never done it.
Would you do it?
I'll do it someday, yeah. I'd love to. I'd love to.
So Jonah, I mean, there are two things on the movie. Apparently, the Matthew McConaughey scene was done very early on, and Martin has said that it really. I'm not allowed to say Marty. It's not. It's just not fair. I'm not there yet. He says that he changed the whole tenor of the whole thing, and then Jonah too. Could you talk about how that sort of exploded the movie a little bit, or whatever you would call it?
You know, this movie this whole experience was very loose. It was like organized chaos. We really improvised a lot beforehand, and then we re-improvised that improvisation. And he wanted that atmosphere on set where everyone kind of knew they had no moral compass. They were all, you know, giving into every possible temptation. And so, you know, when we got great improvisational actors like Jonah and Matthew as well.
You had to fight for Jonah a little bit, or
well,
stand up for him?
Jonah really, you know, it was really Jonah's passion. He met me in Mexico, and I met him around Los Angeles a while, and he said, look, I know who these people are. I know this culture. I am the only person to play this role. And I said, okay, well, he's like, no, you don't understand. I am this character. I immediately told Marty, and they had a meeting for like an hour or two, and immediately, the second Jonah left the room, said, that guy's got the part. I mean, that's what he looks for in actors, is that passion, you know. But Jonah is one of the greatest improvisational actors I've ever gotten the opportunity to work with. He really changed the course of every scene we were in, and we all had to, you know, sort of adjust, and it was amazing. And Matthew too. I mean, what he did in that opening scene, he was like introducing me. He was like Dante at the gates of hell. He's like, this is what you're getting into, and this is what you shall become. And that mantra of the chest thumping thing became our sort of you know, our mantra of greed throughout the whole movie.
Now, you just jumped into this seemingly fearlessly. I mean, and it was on your shoulders, all those long speeches, you know. I mean, did you ever have a moment staring in the mirror going, oh my God, you know, what have I done?
It was something that I thought about. Those two speeches were things that I planned out very meticulously, but it wasn't until I got on stage that I really understood what I think Jordan must have felt like too. It was that
with all the people in the room,
everyone depending on him to, you know, to inspire them to be these, you know, greedy, narcissistic, you know, money-hungry bastards, and he had to propel that forward, and it became kind of like this, like he was a cult leader. And at that moment, I was like, I could see how Jordan got really lost in this world, because the adoration of him, you know, looking like some sort of god of wealth, he became incredibly lost, and so those speeches kind of took on a life of their own.
How do you keep yourself grounded in this business, where you just seem to have a level head?
I suppose it's really, and I know maybe a cliche, but it's the gratitude of being able to do this. I came from LA. A lot of my friends are actors. A lot of people haven't gotten the opportunities that they've wanted in life, and I know that it's incredibly rare. It's not just about talent. There's incredible actors out there that are equally as talented. It's about being at the right place at the right time and getting that one shot, so to speak. And I'm very fortunate that I was 15 years old and I got this one role, and that I wouldn't have been doing what I do if it weren't for This Boy's Life. So, you know, that has propelled me throughout all these years, is saying, look, I know how lucky I am. That's the truth.
So, in the course of hanging in there on this movie, how did you just keep propelling it forward? Why was it so important? Why was this movie so important to you?
To me, I've been fascinated with wealth in America. I've done a few movies about it, and the corruption of the American dream, and especially after 2008, I wanted this culture to be put up on screen. I felt like we were kind of yearning for it in a way, and it's been interesting though, because, you know, I've never done a film that's had been controversial at all. You know, that's been it's obviously an incredibly sore subject, and that's why we wanted to do the movie.
It's touching a nerve.
It's touching a huge
because
nerve.
the movie draws you into being implicated, right?
And that's what, you know, that's what Marty wanted to specifically do, and that's what the beauty of filmmaking is, you know, is to envelop you into somebody else's psyche, as corroded or corrupted as that may be. He's being honest about it. And he's not a didactic filmmaker. He's not going to sit there and explain or spoon feed to an audience about what the ramifications of these actions are, nor is he going to tack on some, you know, ending where the protagonist gets punished properly. He's doing a reflection of our very culture, for better or for worse. And as he said, you know, and it's kind of radical filmmaking. It's a punk rock movie. This guy's 70 years old and he's doing a punk rock movie. It's amazing, and he's still ferocious about it, you know. But as he said, look, you know, I know this world isn't polite. I know people are going to have a reaction to that, but why should I be polite when they aren't, you know? Why should I make a polite film about these people?
Well, I was sitting next to him at the lunch today. Am I not a lucky girl?
Mm-hmm.
I was very happy. We had fun. But he said that this had to be done independently. Otherwise, the studio would have been changing every word and questioning every ounce of cocaine or whatever.
Yeah.
How did you figure that out and get Red Granite? That's an interesting choice you made.
Well, we initially had it set up at a studio, and I think he felt some resistance from them as far as the material was concerned. So I revisited it later to try to get a big enough budget to do an American epic, because that's what we felt this movie should be. You know, like I said, the corruption of the American dream. So you have to show in all its glory and opulence. And then I finally came to him with Golden Globes 2 years ago, and I said, look, I have people that want to finance this and give us artistic freedom and let us do whatever the hell we want. This won't ever happen to us again. This is never going to happen again. Because I've been through, I mean, even in my, I don't want to say short career, but I've seen the ebbs and flows of the industry. I know that I can't get I don't think I could get Aviator financed or Blood Diamond, certainly, no way. A film like Blood Diamond now, no way.
Right.
About, you know, the diamond trade in Africa. I mean, these are epics, but they're also, you know, they're not appetizing to studios. So I said, we have to jump on this opportunity now, and thankfully he did. And I think he knew that given the freedom to do what we want, we were going to make something special.
So now all right, so if there's one scene in Wolf of Wall Street, it often comes down, it's like you don't see it in advance, but it often comes down to one scene. Like, it's the money scene, it's the memorable scene. And when I saw the movie, I knew the Quaalude scene was the money scene. So you and Jonah, apparently, he said this to me, you choreographed a lot of that in ahead of time. Talk about how that worked. And did you know that was going to be the scene?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. To me, the scene, for me, is the scene on the boat where I'm trying to blackmail our FBI agent. That, to me,
that's a great scene.
That kind of defines the ridiculousness of Jordan Belfort in that moment. But that sequence was something that Marty was fascinated with. It was his favorite sequence in the movie. So I think there's certain set pieces or scenes that he shot lists quite meticulously, and this was one of them. I mean, he had the rig set up for me falling on the floor. He knew he wanted to look almost like a sci-fi movie of me, sort of like some primordial beast crawling towards this futuristic car, and keep it wide because it was funny. He had that very meticulously thought out. And even the drive home, and then the interaction between us, you know, he knew what that was, but it was three sort of scattered scenes that within the writing process we condensed together to try to make a film within a film. Because I always imagined this whole movie being like the sequence in Goodfellas with Ray Liotta with the cocaine and the helicopters and the marinara sauce and the hat. I wanted the whole movie to have that energy. So we knew that whatever film within a film that we were going to do in this needed to up the ante even more. So
now, is that why Scorsese was initially reluctant to do it? Because he was so close to some of his previous work with the narration and everything?
I think he was just trying to find the angle on it, you know. And for him, it's always about, I think, the being able to communicate with enough people to say, okay, why is this important? Why am I doing this? and I think once the cast started to come together, everything really started to blossom for him. But I don't think it was a resistance about doing the material; it was the approach.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
And he didn't intend for it to be a comedy, but the sheer ridiculousness and audacity of the way these people lived their lives is turned out to be hilarious. But it's all true, you know.
I've not seen you do such a broad comic role before, and you seem to be very good at it.
Well, like I said, the comedy and the stuff that I laugh at the most comes from, I think, something that we can authentically identify with in the real world. And yeah, I mean, I didn't, like I said, none of the, while we were making the movie, we didn't think, okay, how do we make this funnier?
No.
We were just kind of pushing the envelope of the absurdity of their life, and it became funnier and funnier, you know. It just did. Naturally.
And on the set, you all knew that. You were like,
oh yeah,
cracking
we knew.
up.
They had to take Marty's laugh track out of a lot of the celluloid.
I enjoyed his
And
laugh
it was
track
celluloid,
today.
by the way.
No, it's beautiful. It's stunning. So you and Jonah are doing something else together now, another true life story. How far along are you? You just got
We're
the
right.
rights?
I mean, it's not even worth talking about at this point because it's so right in the onset of development that we don't even know what it's going to become. But you know, he's somebody that I'd love to work with again, and this is it's a great story. But I don't think I have enough to say about how we're going to formulate it yet.
And do you have anything on the books at this point? Or are you going to take
no.
some time?
No, nothing.
You must be exhausted.
Well, I haven't worked for a year, but I've been doing a hell of a lot of promotion for this movie.
Thank you, Leo.
Thank you. Thank you.